I woke up that morning to chaos. My oldest son had missed the school bus, and I was scrambling, trying to figure out how to get him to school while convincing my two younger boys to come along. Normally, that would have sparked frustration or panic, but something was different. A voice inside me, calm, quiet, just said, "Wait, it's going to figure itself out." And it did. My boys made a deal. If they came with me and their older brother, I'd drive them all to school, no bus needed. I said yes, of course. We rushed around the house in our usual whirlwind, shoes half tied, backpacks forgotten, and remembered again. I was still groggy, but there was this lightness I couldn't explain. We jumped in the car and headed out, just as the morning sun broke through a layer of low clouds, casting that golden film over the highway. About halfway to school, my oldest leaned forward and pointed. "There's my bus," he said, nodding toward the side of the road. It was running parallel to us. He looked over at me and said, "Turn left at the next road." I didn't ask questions, I just followed. He told me to park just before the intersection. "What are we doing?" I asked. "My bus stops here before it gets back on the highway," he said. And just like that, as if some invisible conductor had orchestrated the whole thing, the bus pulled up. He stepped out of the car, onto the side of the road, and onto the bus, like it was always meant to happen that way. That's when I felt it. Something stirring in me. Something awakening. Not just a coincidence. Not just a good morning. Something deeper. Something telling me, quietly but firmly, just keep going. I began to notice things more, simple things, like holding the door at the rink for an elderly woman who was still 20 feet away. I could have slipped inside, unnoticed, like I always had, but I waited. She walked up, smiled, and said, "You're a fine young man." It struck me, not just what she said, but that I noticed her at all. I was finally paying attention. And I realized how many people walked around with their eyes down, probably including the version of me just a few months ago. That version of me would have rushed past, head buried in the routine, blind to the grace all around him. I remember telling a close friend, "I think I've been asleep." I didn't say it dramatically or with regret, just honestly. He looked at me kind of puzzled and said, "You've always seemed to be all right to me." And that's when it really felt it. Like I had been showing just how asleep I'd been. And the deeper I looked, the more I saw it everywhere. The coffee in the garage tasted different now, and I'd sit there before work smoking, just thinking. But not like before. Ideas were coming back, things I had forgotten I enjoyed doing, random flashes of inspiration. One day I walked over to someone I had known since childhood. She worked in the plant. Her dad had worked with mine. Normally, I'd just pass by or give a nod, but I stopped and said, "Hey, how are you doing?" She looked stunned, almost suspicious. Then she smiled and we talked, laughed even. Later that day, someone brought her over to me again. "She wanted to tell you something," they said. She looked at me and said, "I appreciate that talk. At first I thought you were going to give me shit." "Why would I do that?" I asked. "Because that's what most of you guys do in those beige shirts," she said. That hit me. Because she wasn't wrong. Somewhere along the way, I had become just another part of the machine, another voice of correction, another dull echo of hierarchy. But now I was softening, not weaker, just more open, more human. I'd stopped drinking pop, no more takeout. I wasn't perfect, but I was trying. I was cooking again, even if it was simple. I was moving my body, even if it was just to walk with the boys. And the strangest thing happened. I felt lighter. Not in pounds, in spirit. I started waking up earlier, started wanting to do things, not for a paycheck or approval, just to do them. One morning, I drove to my cousin's place before work. I never used to do things like that. Not before work, not without a reason. But something said go. When I got there, he welcomed me in. He said, "Man, I need someone to talk to today." We didn't talk about anything earth-shattering, but it mattered. And when I left, I felt this rush of joy. I asked him, "Can you get high off of being happy?" He laughed. "You can. Maybe," he said. "But if you know how to bottle it up, Johnny, the world could use a hit." Later that day, another unexpected thing happened. My childhood best friend called me, out of the blue. I'd been thinking about him just the day before. We didn't talk about much, just life, but it was like the universe kept nudging me, keep going. And then, sitting in the car before work, I had a sudden urge, almost a command, to quit my job. Just walk in, drop my badge, and leave. I didn't, but I felt it in my bones, the pull, the temptation, the quiet dare from my soul. You know there's more than this. Even my son noticed something had changed. "You were down here," he said, motioning his hand toward the ground. "And now you're up here." He lifted his hand over his head. "Most people won't get what you're talking about right now, Dad, because that was never you." He was right. And still, I was scared. Not of what I was feeling, but of going back. That was my fear, that I'd slip back into that numbness, that I'd started sleepwalking again. So I kept going. I started writing things down, not journaling, just random scraps, phrases, thoughts, whispers from somewhere inside. I didn't know what they meant. I just knew I needed to catch them before they disappeared. And that night, the dreams came. Not nightmares, but strange, intense, emotional. Some nights I'd wake up sweating, convinced I had done something terrible, like I had to confess or pay for something, though I couldn't tell you what it was. I'd lie there, heart racing, staring at the ceiling, whispering, "What is happening to me?" But deep down, I already knew. I was awakening. I wasn't healed. I wasn't enlightened. I wasn't even sure where this road was leading. But something had begun. Something I could no longer ignore. It was like I'd been walking through life underwater, and someone finally pulled me to the surface. The air felt sharp, the colors too bright, but I could breathe. And more than anything, I could feel again. Joy, sadness, wonder, even fear. I felt it all, and I welcomed it, because feeling something, anything, was better than feeling nothing. And now I find myself listening more, watching for signs, not trying to control every outcome, just trying to show up with a better heart than I had the day before. I still sit outside with my coffee sometimes, still thinking too much, still wondering if this whole thing will last. But I'm here, awake, curious, and ready, because I've come to understand something. What I know is a drop. What I don't know is an ocean. And the second that drop touches the surface, the ripple begins. Sometimes I wonder if I'm walking through my dreams, or if the dream was the life I left behind. There's no roadmap for this, just echoes and whispers. But something's changing. I'm not going back.